Hey guys, and welcome to Panda Playtime. Alright, today we are going to have a look at texture packing with Panda. So last week we had a look at how to include some high resolution images to use with your project. And I thought that this week would be a really good time to have a look at using Texture Packer. Texture Packer is a really awesome tool from Code and Web. It supports many different frameworks. I'm just going to open up the page for it quickly. Code and Web, yep, that's the one. And if you see here, that is what it is, okay? It is really good, and basically what it does in a few words is it takes a bunch of images, puts them onto one sheet, and instead of your program, your game having to load multiple images, let's say 20 frames of an animation, it has to only load one file. You can include non-related graphics like menu items and animations, and what Texture Packer does, it exports a text file along with, well, I think in Panda's case it's called .atlas, but essentially it's a text file which gives Panda the information on what coordinates particular image lie at or are located at. So yeah, that's basically essentially what it does. You can get Texture Packer along with Physics Editor. At this stage, I'm not sure if Panda uses Physics Editor, but seeing Emily's productivity and all the plugins that are coming out for Panda 2, which is absolutely amazing, I am absolutely certain that if people have demand for this, even if it's not supported currently, it will be there soon. So yeah, this is a very cool tool. It basically makes it very easy to set up physics objects. As you see, it just creates polygons out of images that you provide. Anyway, by itself, Texture Packer, if you go to the store, I think is $39. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, $39 by itself. This is American. And if you want to get the two, then you pay $49.99. It's a pretty good deal if you do end up using both. Now, Sprite Illuminator is pretty cool too. It shades your sprites, but currently I don't use it or feel the need for it. So yeah, you guys might feel different, but for now these are two tools that I think are very useful, especially Texture Packer. All right, let's have a look at Panda. So last week I'm just going to open our project really quick. So last week we left off with basically just playing around with multi-resolution images, but what we had to do is create a sprite and export it at different sizes. And now think about it. You have an animation, 20 frames or so. Let's say if it's a longer animation, 50 frames. You're going to have to export it at its default size, then at 2x, at 4x, and so on. So you'll end up with 60 images in your program, versus using Texture Packer, you only end up with 3 large images. So much more efficient on memory use. Your game will thank you for it instead of having to load all those images up front. So I'm just going to open up Adobe Animate in the background. This is not a tool that you guys need. But I do find it useful to show you guys some stuff while I'm working with things, whether it's sizing, exporting some extra images if you need to, things like that. You guys can, there are many free tools. I think I talked about this in some of the previous sessions, but if I am mistaken, then I think I'll do a separate video on this and actually point you guys to some of the really cool open source tools out there. There are things like, pretty sure, no, we don't need to recover anything. This is weird PC stuff. I'm just going to go and create a new file, and we're gonna just go ActionScript 3, just what I used to use back in the day, and really quickly, don't pay too much attention to this, guys. This is just for a real quick sample of what we need to do. Okay, so click this to dismiss. Okay, we're just going to set the stage to 320 by 480. So really quickly, this is the default size we're eventually going to be working with. For now, in Panda, if you click on modules again, if you go to config, you see that we've set our size to 200 by 200. This was just to be able to see some of the, oh yeah, okay. Looks like I need to update my billing information on Adobe there. Yeah, we'll fix that later. Now, it basically means that we set the size small just so we could see some of the high resolution images in this little window, okay? Because working with browsers, especially with HTML5, it takes this whatever size it's running in browser, whether it's loaded up small, minimized, all that sort of stuff, that's what it thinks of as its size. So let's say your phone or a native app is running on a, I don't know, an HD Android, you know, 1920 by 1080p, okay? That size, that's what the screen size, okay? However, with HTML5, if you run it inside a browser and you run it in a small window, it thinks of it thinks of that small window as the size it's loading in. So it might not load the highest resolution assets. It might actually load the standard, you know, the ones provided for the 320 by 480 resolution. So this will be what it will load if it's running in a small window. However, if you maximize the screen, it will load the high resolution assets because you're running on a 1080p screen, or you might run on a 4K screen. Just giving you a real quick rundown of how this works. Okay, so I'm just going to make, so I think I shut down Flash, or I like calling it Flash even though it's called Adobe Animate now. Let's just recreate the same ball we had last time. It was red. I'm just going to click 96 by 96 over here. Okay, and we'll put it in the center. And I think, if I remember the shortcuts correctly, over here. No, that's not it. F8. Yeah, and we're just gonna call it ball. Now remember last time, oh man, that's not okay. All my shortcut memory is from Mac, and I always mess it up on PC, but never mind, I'll fix it very quickly. Okay, we'll just paste the ball in here again. Guys, don't worry about any of this. This is just to show you really quickly how to work with spreadsheets, I mean texture packs. So this is our 96 by 96 ball. Remember last time we talked about, I showed you that I created different graphics. We've got them in the folder, so I'm going to go back there really quick just to show you what I mean. Over here in our Panda Playtime Imposter Media, you see that we created a ball and a ball at 2x, ball at 4x, but I've also added a little bit of text just to make it easier to see that the right sized image was loading up. Okay, so we're going to delete all these because we don't need them anymore, and I'm going to now show you what we're going to do instead. Last week we've exported 3 different images. Today all I want you to do is, if you're working with Photoshop, you would be exporting the highest resolution image you want to work with and let Texture Packer scale it down for you. We're going to do the same using Adobe Animate. Again, you guys don't need this. You can work with whatever program you want, but I'm just going to show you what I do. And this is for the guitarist tutorial. So let's go to Let's Dev, Panda Playtime, Imposter, under Media, and we're just going to export ball. Okay, now the ball is originally 96 by 96 pixels, so we need to make it, since we're going to be working with at 4x, we need to make it 4 times that size, and then Texture Packer will take it and will provide the other sizes for us. So we'll go save, and it's already set up 288 dpi and 384. That's exactly 4 times. Export. Now we should have a ball in the folder. Okay, now this will be quite a large image, nice and smooth, just like the at 4x image last time. Okay, let's close this. Actually, we'll leave this window open so we can go back to it easily. Open up Texture Packer. You guys, I really recommend getting a license for this. It is absolutely indispensable. It's an awesome tool. Okay, now this is how you will use it. You go Add Sprites, and again, we're I do a couple of tutorials in the week. One of them is on Gitters, one of them is on Panda, and I've got the default open on the Gitters here. So let's go to Let's Dev and Panda Playtime, the imposter, and let's go to Media and click on Ball. Now, your ball has been added. What we need to do now is, I've been playing with this before just to make sure everything works, but it won't have Panda 2 selected by default. Okay, so what you need to do is just click on this and somewhere just type P and it will jump to Panda, Phaser, and so on, okay, and so on. So you just double click Panda 2 and there you go. Now, the next thing you need to do is change this over here to 4096. Now, it will give you a warning. The maximum texture size for mobile devices should not exceed 2048. Bigger textures might not be displayed on some devices or might cause jittering sprites. Now, I'm pretty certain that Texture Packer is telling us that if we're using 2048 size or more, like let's say 4096 texture on devices across the board, then we might have problems. But the thing here is we are only going to be using 4096 on devices that can handle it, because we're going to be using the whole at 2x at 4x naming scheme, okay? And an iPhone, the original iPhone, the one with the 320 by 480 screen, would only load the original, okay? So the one without a suffix. A mid-range device might load the at 2x, and a really high-end device will load the at 4x. So this message we can ignore. Now, ignoring project. What we need to do next, I think this is all good. We need to go to scaling variants. Over here, I'm just going to select generic at 4x, okay? This is what we want. And now click apply, and it sets everything nicely for us. So we provide this, and then what it does everything for us, okay? It creates it at 2x and the original. Okay, everything's good there. Now, as you notice, I didn't call this ball at 4x. This is because we don't want to refer to the ball image as ball at 4x in Panda. We just want to refer to it as ball. This is what we will be referring to it from Panda, okay, as. Panda will load the appropriate atlas file, the at 2x, at 4x, or the original, the default size, 320 by 480. Now, this is all you have to worry about. Everything else is done for you, okay? So, we've set everything up over here. Panda format is selected. Now we just need to save the data file and the texture file. So we're going to go down here and we're in the right folder, Panda Playtime, the imposter, media, and we're just going to call this spec. Save. Panda Atlas must contain brackets V as part of the file name for it to work with AutoSD. Okay, so all you have to do is click append V, and it's going to add a little bracket with a V inside it just after PEC, and that just means that it's going to export this atlas file, which is basically the text file with the information on where particular images lie. Remember, this is an atlas. You could put as many images in here as you want, and as long as they fit onto this size, and yeah, you just refer to those images from Panda, okay? So there will be multiple images on this file eventually, right? So that atlas file here is the one that's going to be telling Panda what coordinates those images lie at. So there could be a red ball here, a blue ball here, and so on, okay? So we're just going to go append V. That's all done. And now we're going to click this folder, this little folder icon here. And again, I'm going to select PEC. We're still in the right folder, as you see. Save, and same thing, append V. Okay, this is going to be the image file. Now, I think pretty much everything is set up. We're just going to go save project. Just to be sure, I'm going to go save as, just so I don't overwrite anything. Let's dev Panda Playtime, the imposter media, and we're going to call it PEC. And it's going to save a TPS project file inside our folder. All right. So everything is done. Project is saved. Just double check again, and we're just going to go publish spreadsheet. No errors. Well done. Okay, now we're going to go back to that folder, and as you see, we know this is our project file, and we have a pack image and a pack atlas, a pack at 2x, and so on and so on. Okay, so everything is good. Now we're going to go back to Panda. This is our config file. We've got everything set up to work. We're just going to go back to main. Remember, if this is not appearing for you, these files, all you have to do is click on modules and you toggle. Okay, so now we're in the main file, and as you see, last time we added an asset ball.png. Now this is something we need to change. Panda makes this really easy. I can't stress how easy it is in Panda to do this. Let's just have a look at the website. Go to panda2.io and click on learn, and on learn or under learn click playground, and over here you will see animation. This is where you just want to click, and atlas. Okay, and here is how we load our atlas. So let's just copy this file, this line, and go into Panda again, and we're going to comment this out. In Panda, you comment out by doing that. Pretty simple. All right. Game.addAsset player.atlas. Obviously, our one isn't called player.atlas, but it's called pack. Again, remember what I told you last week or the week before. You can double click on a word or in the middle of a word and selects the word for you. Just type in pack, and there you go. Now, this is all that you should have to do in order to load the image. Now remember, we created atlas files for the 320 by 480 resolution, then a 640 by 960 resolution, and double that again. Those images this time, however, do not have these graphics, these add 2x graphics, which I provided as a little bit of help last time. So this time it will load a red ball, a nice smooth red ball, as in it will be not jaded, hopefully, because it's loading the add 2x image. If I load this in the browser, it should load the add 4x image, so it should be even smoother. However, it won't have those help graphics on there, those add 2x texts. Okay, so we're just going to save this. Save. And as you see, okay, what was happened there? I think it didn't actually reload the project. I think that's what's happened. So I'm just going to save again, and I'm going to go reload now. So that was a little bit confusing to me because it looked like it reloaded, but it hasn't. So all you have to do is click Ctrl R to reload the project. You can also click play somewhere around here. Still getting used to some of these things. Modules. Oh yeah, if you click modules again, main's got a little play button beside it, and that should update it. In case you want to reload the whole project, you go Ctrl R. I think there's also a little Control reload project button somewhere around here. I always lose it. Over here, reload game. I think that's the one. Yeah. All right. Now let's test the browser. Open in browser. And as you see, this is very clear, crisp line. So this is definitely the add 4x image. Now, if I go back into, let's just test this really quickly. If I go back into config and just go high-res 1, okay. Now you will see that this is very nice and crisp right now. We'll save this and we'll go open in browser again. So let's just compare. This is nice and crisp. Go to Panda and open in browser. Yeah, there you go. It's only loading the original asset, okay, the 320 by 480 resolution one. So this is it. So let's just change it to 4. Go back to main, delete this line. Now we are basically done. This is all you need to do in order to use spreadsheets. Sorry, I call them spreadsheets all the time, but as I said in my Guitars tutorial before, they're not actually spreadsheets. I think spreadsheets are a little bit different. They they mainly include an animation of something. So let's say you've got a character running, so you've got a sprite sheet for that. Whereas I think texture packs, they can include all sorts of graphics, menu items, dividers, you know, like little effects. You could put a monster and a player character on one atlas or a texture pack. I think those terms are interchangeable. Whereas a sprite sheet usually just includes like a running animation or something along those lines. Okay, so I think there is a difference. So let's just call them atlases or texture packs. Those are pretty much the same thing. But this is pretty much all we have to do in order to use it. And there are some other things we'll get into later, animations and etc, etc. But for now, you know, this is all we need to do. So again, this is definitely how you want to go forward with designing your game. And Texture Packer is pretty much the industry standard for 2D game design. Just to quickly show you guys, this program, this tool includes so many different frameworks. Just scrolling down here, oh my god, there's so many, crazy. It is basically the industry standard for 2D game design. So if you are looking for a good texture packer program, something to create atlases, this is it. Don't look anywhere else. It is cheap, it provides updates. You can even get like lifetime updates, I think, for a slightly higher cost, but really good value. Love it. Awesome program. Okay, so yeah, I think that's pretty much all we need to worry about today. I don't want to make this too long, and I hope to get into scaling modes and stuff next week, just to make sure we set up our game size properly. Again, this is not the correct game size. We want to make this 320 by 480. This was just for testing purposes. And then we also want to make sure that it displays correctly in the browser, so we don't get any black bars on the sides, the game doesn't stretch, etc. You know, so we want to make sure that's all sorted, and so we can move actually forward with designing our game. Anyway, I hope you guys had a good useful session here, and I will talk to you next time.